So yeah, those first days when you get there and you're on your own, that should be pretty straightforward. I mean, most places that breakfast places, you can get egg whites, you can get some sort of oatmeal typically, that's pretty straightforward. If you have, when did you say you're leaving?
Tomorrow.
Okay. So what I would say is make sure you have, some protein with you, protein powder. Like for example, I still did every day at Disney. I had protein coffee. I still in the morning had my protein powder with me. Went and got some iced coffee wherever we were
Okay,
going.
so question,
Mhm.
so if I put some protein powder, in individual bags, I
Mhm.
mean, is that an issue for anybody traveling, like it's, cocaine or something?
No. I went right through security. I had it in literally my backpack, so it wasn't even like in the which checked luggage. It was literally on my carry-on bag. It was not a problem at all.
And so how do you transport it?
Well,
In bags?
yeah, for example, I went with the Ghost packets, so they're prepackaged. But Jen didn't want to use that; she wanted to use the My Protein stuff. So she just took little plastic baggies and made scoops, into each baggie. Each baggie had one scoop.
Yeah, Tom, we've used Ziploc bags before. You don't have problems with security.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ziploc bags.
I've done mine in like little Tupperware containers too. Like one scoop fits inside one of our small Tupperware containers. I just got back this weekend from doing that.
I took some to Italy, Tom. I took some to Italy. They didn't say a word.
If you are worried about it though, Tom, at some places, I know since you're leaving tomorrow, it might be hard, but they do sell like on Amazon, I know for a fact, those single package ones. If there's like a Whole Foods around you or anything like that, I don't think Trader Joe's, but I know Whole Foods, they do sell individually serving sizes for protein powders.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my protein. I like the isolate protein, so because it's better on the stomach. So I mean, I can make baggies. I mean, that's
what we did, and it was not a problem at all for security. In fact, it was funny. They stopped Jen's bag on the way back through the X-ray machine, and we thought it was going to be for the leftover protein powder, and it was a bag of like wipes. For some reason, that went off. The protein powder they didn't even care about, so not an issue at all. So those first few days when you're on your own should be pretty straightforward. I mean, when eating out at restaurants, just go for whatever the plain protein is with some veggies on the side, straightforward. Like I said, breakfast, egg whites, oatmeal, those things are usually pretty easily accessible at a hotel. Even some, cereal, you can put the protein powder in there. Then when you get to the days where it's kind of the predetermined meals, I'd say two things. One, right, this is a one-off week. This is not an ongoing, so give yourself some grace, right? You should be able to enjoy, a little bit of the dessert or snacks or whatever they have, you're on a trip. But also, for the basics, right, try and go with, I'm sure there's some pretty standard proteins, chicken, fish, like you said, on the sit-down dinners. On the buffets, right? If it's like sandwiches, sometimes I'll pick them apart. Like I'll, take a sandwich that's turkey or chicken or whatever and just eat maybe half the bread or none of the bread. It's pretty easy to kind of just, make the best out of what's available to you. I would say if you can, right, even, things like, if there's salads, right, you can take the meat of the salad, of the sandwich, put it on the salad, get creative with it. But again, this is a one-off thing, 80-20 rule, right? Don't forget to, let yourself have some fun too. That being said, because I know, you may be enjoying some alcohol as well. If that's like the biggest part of the social, aspect to it, try and keep the food more straightforward so that you have the room for the alcohol. It's a juggling act. You know that by now. It's figuring out what works for you. And then activity-wise, I've been to those conferences. I know it's long periods of sitting, and then there's typically breaks. On those breaks, try and do some, walking as much as you can, even if it's, circles in the lobby or back to the bathroom before, whatever you can do to just kind of keep active during those break periods so that you're trying to.
Yeah, typically there's lots of steps because, get from your room down to the breakfast. And then typically it's like there's a little bit of time. So like go back, brush your teeth, then come back to the wherever it is. And actually with the breakouts and stuff, they're like round tables. So you're there for like a few minutes and then you move to the next one, So that there is going to be a fair amount of walking,
Good,
I
good.
think. So I'm not worried about that. So, and you're right about the workouts in the morning. Definitely, we have the ab circuit every day. So, you know, whatever else we might conjure up. But they do kick off breakfast like reasonably early. So, you know, I'm still going to get up when I normally get up, but you know, there's not going to be tons of time in the morning. So, you know, we'll do what we can.
Check the hours of the fitness center. Like both the hotels that I was at this week, it was 24 hours. So there was
I don't know for sure, but
Yeah.
every place I've been, typically it is. Yeah.
yeah.
But
so
when
there
I
was-
get there, I'll find out.
Yeah, exactly. So there was like one day, for example, where our morning was super hectic. So I just pushed that off and did it, you know, after everything, you know, before I went to bed. You know, kind of just making sure to fit it in, you know, based on what the schedule was as far as my day and, you know, obviously the fitness center. But yeah, I think, you know, as far as, you know, everything else, right? Just like you said, be as active as, you know, the schedule allows, get as much movement in as you can. Try and be, you know, aware as far as just, you know, consuming you know, as much protein in those meals that are laid out for you as possible. But also, you know, remember, it's not, you know, this is not the rest of your life. It's a few days on a conference, so make sure you enjoy yourself as well.
Yeah. And like typically the buffet breakfast, they always have like either somebody's making an omelet, but it's generally already the egg mix. There's no like egg white type of stuff. So it's egg mix and whatever, or they'll have eggs already made up and the potatoes and the sausage and the, you know, bacon and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
You'd
Now
be
they may have some yogurt, but it's not going to be the low fat stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you do the best you can. So if you have some yogurt that's not low fat, but add some protein powder to it, right? That's not a bad thing. You'd be surprised at those egg stations. More and more of them are having like either an egg beater or, you know, egg white you know, option, you know, when they
Yeah,
prepare
we'll
those eggs.
see. Yeah, I actually I stayed in this hotel many
Oh,
moons ago. It was a serendipity, and I was working for another company, whole different situation, and they didn't have any room. But it was when I was with Peaches Records and Tapes, and the manager at the St. Louis store knew one of the managers at the hotel, so somehow I got to stay in the presidential suite.
nice. Very
It was really cool.
That's
It's
awesome.
two floors, 3 bedrooms, formal dining room. It was great. I don't think I'm going to get that room this year, though.
Who else has some tips for Tom? I know there's a lot. Chris, Gabe, looking at Joe. Like I know there's lots of Bill. You just got done traveling. There's lots of people that travel. Who else has some tips for Tom?
I mean, I'll go just because I got back. This is my first day back from, and it was only a weekend for me. But to Mark's point, you know, you only control what you can control, and it's the beauty of just the community and the program itself is that, you know, you make as good a choice as you can, and then you move on, and then when you get home, you get back in the saddle and get into your routines. I ate like crazy this weekend. I didn't even try and stop. I mean, I was eating Tex-Mex, barbecue, wing, whatever they threw in my face, I was eating. But I mean, I also got, you know, 15,000 steps in a day, and I also got workouts in every morning, and I was still up early getting some work done, because I thought what Joe said was great about sort of win in the morning, right? If you can at least do something in the morning to get you going in the right direction, it sets a base for the rest of the day. And then whatever will be, and, you know, enjoy yourself. I'm not a huge drinker, so, you know, me telling you to sort of monitor your alcohol intake and don't let alcohol let you make bad decisions in regards to anything else. It seems kind of hollow from a guy who doesn't drink much, but, you know, I would be cognizant of that as well. Right. I mean, you know, maybe one drink and a club soda, something to sort of let you use your mind as best you can. Good luck. Have fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, hey Tom, I'll give you some advice from me. You know, a couple of things I've done in the past is I've actually used Instacart to deliver protein shakes because I like my Fairlife protein shakes.
That's
If
a
you don't,
great
if you-
idea. That's,
if-
I didn't even think about that. That is a great idea.
yeah, if you don't have access to a protein powder or you run out, yeah, I just had Instacart deliver me like 6 shakes and
To the hotel?
yeah, to the hotel.
That's fire. I didn't even think about that.
I mean, it costs you a little bit more, but if you can do it, it's worth it. The other thing is, I think Bill hit it. I mean, if you can get stuff done in the morning, whether it's steps, what I try to focus on is just the basics, the basic neat stuff. Because you're gonna eat like crap normally. I mean, there's lots of food, you don't know what's in it. And I even texted the coaches, and I'm like, look, I can't track this anymore because I don't know what's in it. So the thing that you got to do is I think just get back to basics. Get your water in, get some steps in if you can, or exercise on the treadmill. Basic things like that. And then have a good time. At the end of the day, just enjoy yourself and get back to it when you get back.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. Again, this is a lifestyle, not just a weekend experiment. So, I would say don't worry about it. Don't stress over the little things because you'll create more cortisol and more stress in your life if you do. And just enjoy the time, with your friends at work. And the drinking side of it, I don't drink much either. So, I do have a drink here and there. I try to drink vodka or stuff that's lighter than just fattening beers, but I'll drink a vodka and soda with lime or something like that, or I'll do a shot of vodka or something. But I, like I said, I'm not a big drinker. But if you can drink, stuff that's better for you, that's what I do calorie wise. I try to choose that way. But again, it's all about just having fun and enjoying yourself, and don't stress too much about it.
Yeah, I'm not stressed on it. I just, first of all, I appreciate all the tips and all. And it's kind of along the lines of what I was guessing, that I was going to hear. You know what? It's been great being to dial in the nutrition and being able to go this time. And I'm actually going to fit into my suit. I'm going to fit into my dress shirt.
That's what matters.
You know what? And I feel great. And the fact that, I feel good. I look good, and that's really what counts. And actually I'm pretty sure that people are going to notice because people have saw me a couple of years ago, and I had the big belly. It didn't really show that much, but I mean, you could tell I had, more fat and so on. So, I think it'll be fun. And yeah, I'm not going to stress out on it, but it's funny, once you get there, you kind of lose focus, so I think just being able to go through and focus and especially, like I said, win the day in the morning. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not sure.
Stick to the basics.
I'm not sure I'm going to meet my protein goals every day, but put as much protein as you can,
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
Yep.
I did some back-to-back. Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
No, that's fine, Gabe.
Yeah, I just did back last month, I did 2 back-to-back seminars, 3-day seminars. I mean, they were down in Jersey, so I drove, so I got to pack some stuff with me. But I didn't really stress about it, man. I went really hard on the protein the day before, that morning, I packed some protein powder, my protein coffee, and my protein breakfast. I know I'll be having breakfast in my room. I didn't want to have their cheesy breakfast that they had. So I did the Pop-Tarts. Pop-Tarts are great. I made I brought my protein, so I put in my coffee. And then by the time I left the hotel, I had 100 grams of protein in me, and then I didn't really stress it, man. I just ate whatever they had, and then the last day they had drinks. I had a couple cups of wine, but I didn't stress it. I didn't stress it because this is not the norm. It's to the point where my sister's been in town. She's like, oh, let's go out to lunch. And I'm like, no, I'm in the office. And my wife's like, he doesn't get off his routine during the week. So I'm mainly on my routine weekly. I don't waver off of that. But I'm going on the way in a business seminar, and this is where you're going to have a chance to really communicate with other people. And you don't want to seem like that snobby foodie guy, right?
Yeah.
That guy, oh, he's so picky. If he's picky with his food, imagine how he's picky with his business. So,
Sure.
I didn't really stress about it, man. I went really hard on protein. I just woke up that morning, did my push-ups, did some sit-ups. I didn't even hit the treadmill because the treadmill was broken. So
did some push-ups, you know, when I woke up, you know, had my protein coffee and my protein stuff that I brought with me. And then I didn't worry about it. I just went out. I mean, they had tacos for lunch. Like, how you not gonna eat tacos, bro? And they were good too. They had like the chicken. I loaded up on some tacos, and then the next day their lunch was mac and cheese. Like, I'm not gonna say no to mac and cheese. I could smell that thing across the room. So I had fun with it. I ate. I didn't bother. I didn't stress about it. And to be honest with you, I hit the scale. I was like, it didn't even change. So it's because mostly your body's not going to change overnight. Just remember that it takes a long time for it to get to that point. So don't stress about it. Do what you can, and then when you get to it, just have fun.
That was good. Joe, you want to go next?
So yeah, kind of along the same line everybody else said, Tom. And you know, I like the Instacart thing because I normally will try and find like a Walmart, a Walgreens, a CVS, something like that, where I can get protein bars and you know, even those little Premier or Fairlife protein shakes. The big thing, because I've done a lot of traveling, done a lot of conferences and stuff. And my thing, just like everybody else says, is I just tried to protein spar, like protein spar. Get as much protein as you can. In the morning, I'd have my shaker bottle. I'd have some protein powder, and I'd mix it in with a protein pre-made shake, so I get the most amount of protein as I can. I'd bring protein bars with me, so I could have a protein bar during the conference, right? So I was just constantly trying to get protein as much as I could. And then basically at the end of the night, you know, when you're going out to dinner or you're having drinks, I would just have fun. I wouldn't let it worry because I made sure I had my protein in all day. And then at the end of the day, it was like, all right, now it's time for me to let loose, you know? So that's the only other thing I would say is like, have some protein bars and keep it with you. You know, if you got a backpack or something, storm in there, maybe even beef jerky, just to have you some additional protein throughout the day. If you can't get it, you know, with any of the meals.
Yeah.
You made me hungry, Joe. So I have to eat my protein bar. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, my luggage is going to be pretty full, so I'm not sure how much I can sneak in. I mean, maybe I'll just send the semi ahead of me, you know, with all the stuff and the treadmill and the you know, cable machine and everything. Just send it out to the hotel ahead of me.
Yeah.
One
just
more
like
thing.
Chris said with getting the Instacart, that's why I would always make sure I went to a CVS and kind of would stock up. So I didn't have to bring as much with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe I bring protein powder and that was it.
Yeah,
But the rest of it
I'm
I'd
going to
get
check.
when I was there.
I mean, that's good. I'm going to check the map and see where the hotel is and see what might be around it. A lot of times I get to a hotel and like, there's like nothing around it for like a mile or whatever. And I don't have a car. So
That's why I liked Instacart, because Instacart will give you all the stores around you that it delivers from.
yeah.
And they'll send somebody out.
Yeah, that's
they'll
a great
pick it off the
idea.
shelves and they'll bring it to you.
Yeah.
And it like I said, it costs a little bit more to pay that delivery charge, but the benefit is you don't have to deal with it, you know, in your bags through security and, you know, that kind of stuff. But you know, again, it's a shortcut that I found that I'm like, hey, this works. I'm going to use it.
That's a great idea. Great idea.
And when it comes to like getting your steps in, your neat, everyone keeps mentioning a treadmill. I would encourage you, especially if you're somewhere else, to just walk the neighborhood, man. Enjoy the trip, learn the area. I mean, I was just in Dallas and every morning I was just up kind of walking around, learning new parts of the city. I thought it was great. And it's much more interesting to do that than walk on a treadmill. So get outside and enjoy the city.
Except there's air conditioning.
Well, that's what again, I was in Dallas.
Yeah, I know. I saw your picture and I saw the post and it's going to be humid. It's going to be humid in the 80s or something like that.
Sure, but that's during the day, right? You're going to get most of your walking in before you go to your conference, and it's not going to be as hot or as humid, right? I was up in the morning doing my walks at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Just get out and enjoy yourself because I think that's better for the body and the soul.
Yeah. So Tom, here are my tips, and then I'll end the recording. Do you actually mind if I post this in the community group? That way, if anybody else is traveling, they can always refer back to this.
Good.
Cool.
That's fine.
So my tips, this is personally, and I'll add alcohol into the equation, right? So my tips is like when I'm traveling and I'm not in full control over like the food that's coming out. I'm a sweets guy, right? So I'll save I'll cut out my carbs so I can eat my carbs with the sweets, right? So I want you to think about like a triangle, right? Where it's like you got your desserts, you got like the mac and cheese, like kind of like Gabe was talking about, right? The carbs over here, and then obviously like let's just say the alcohol, right? I would say just pick and choose, right? Like what it is that you want to have, right? So instead of having like let's say all three, like maybe take one or two. You know, for me, like when I was at Disney, man, I'm eating my sweets, man. I'll have that rather than like the breads and whatnot, right? That's just who I am, you know. So that's always kind of helped me. And then just going off of what Joe said, the protein sparing, and I feel like everybody said this pretty much the same thing. Is just like load up on that protein, man. It's just like try to just be mindful of like, okay, hey, you know, maybe this whatever they're ordering the food or whatever the case may be that's having. Maybe you can just have the vegetables, you know, the fiber is going to fill you up, and like the protein, have that so that way you can consume some of those fun foods later on. And I think to wrap up everything here, this is what I remember Mike Hoffman, you know, Mike, I see that you're on the call. You know, he mentioned one time about, you know, going out to eat and not feeling guilty. That is the biggest win that you'll ever have, right? Honestly, it's just like not feeling guilty the next day. And you'll be actually surprised, right? Because I know Chris kind of talked about the cortisol a lot, and Gabe talked about how that after the whole entire week didn't gain any weight. You'll be surprised. I remember Mark talking about how when he went to his cruise, you know, actually coming back from that, he actually lost weight. You know, so it's just like one of these things where the stress, the cortisol, all that stuff, and kind of like what Bill was saying, how like going for that walk, right? It's you know, it's good for your body and your soul, right? When you're not stressed and we're not worried about that, you're going to really start seeing some really good changes occur. And then just like to recap what everybody else says, it's one bad week. It's not going to kill you. The most importantly is just like enjoy yourself, you know?
No, I will, and I again, I appreciate all the comments and thanks for that. I'm sure I'll be posting not a lot, but here and there in the group, let you know what's going on. But yeah, and of course on Thursday, I don't think I'm going to have a scale around, so I probably won't be weighing in on Thursday. So
don't worry about that.
Wouldn't sweat that at all. And have a good conference too, aside from the health and fitness stuff. I hope it's a good business conference for you.
Well, I missed last year. Last year was the first real get together after COVID. The year prior to that, COVID shut us down twice. So it was more of a social gathering, which was really, really great. And they call it a family reunion instead of a convention. And like 40 franchisees showed up. And that was good because instead of having 200 plus people out there, you could really get to talk to the people and get to know them better and all of that. And unfortunately, with the larger convention, you lose that. And I mean, yeah, you get to talk to people, but you know, it's not the same. But that was really great, and just being able to hang out, and that was fun. That was a lot of fun. But that was before I was in Heartletics, and I just ate everything and drank everything.
That's one thing that you'll find when you travel is you find the protein options regardless. Like you'll look at a menu and be like, okay, chicken, pork chop, you know, whatever.
Exactly.
Like you'll find the protein items, and that's really helpful. Sometimes they're loaded with fat, but at the end of the day, you care about the protein. So, you know, that's
Absolutely.
what I do. I try to focus on the stuff that's going to bring me protein, and protein sparring, you know, keeping that protein high is key. So.
Yeah, and I found out, you know, just day to day. I mean, just trying to manage the nutrition day to day. I mean, I do the same thing. I always look for the spots that have the most protein. Although I've been focusing also on the carbs and the fats as well. So actually, Coach Joe, if you check my nutrition for the last several days and do your deep dive, I think you'll find some interesting changes.
Bill, I saw that your hand was up. Did you want to say anything?
I just one more thing that's sort of a benefit of the program in general is like you said, you're going to be seeing a lot of people who haven't seen you for a while, and they're all going to be asking you kind of what, oh my God, look at you, you look great. What have you done? And you're going to start talking about Heartletics, and you're going to start talking about the habits that you've built. And I think it's important for the message is that we're building a lifestyle, and that includes all of the enjoyment that you guys are going to go through at that same time.
Yeah.
So, and because if I listen to somebody tell me they lose weight, and all I do is see them eating, salad and tuna fish, I'm like, I don't want no part of that.
Right.
But if I see somebody who's saying they're losing weight, but they're occasionally, eating the tacos and the mac and cheese and the ribs, I'm like, that's the kind of guy, right? This guy knows how to make decisions, and he knows how to live life.
Yeah,
And I think that's the message we want to get across as well.
absolutely.
That's so true. Quick story too. In the Bahamas, there's this place called the Sugar Factory. So Joe, you might like this place. It's just basically it's a restaurant, but they have a candy store that's loaded with everything sweet. My daughter was like, "Dad, I booked a reservation at the Sugar Factory." She goes, "You're gonna be okay?" And I'm like, "Let's go!" Like, I can't wait to dig in. And the meals were awesome, and then of course desserts, carrot cake, to the nth degree. But you gotta, like Bill said, live life, man. Just enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
My daughter was impressed. She's like, "Really? You can do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely, I can do that." It's all part of the program.
Balance. It's all about balance.
It is. Absolutely.